Don't let anybody say anything else. This is a stupid hobby.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Adventure Show. This month we've headed south to Jedburgh for the Three Peaks Ultramarathon. This is the fourth time this event has been held, and with 250 hardy souls signed up, this should be an absolute cracker.
It's great being out in places like this. You go slow enough like I do, you can see all the views as well. It's brilliant.
Hey, thank you.
The race is a hefty 38 miles long. That's 1.5 marathons. And to make it even more demanding, there's 2,800 feet of ascent over 3 extinct volcanoes.
Totally awesome, amazing. I can't even believe that I'm doing this.
Third hill, we're going home, and it stopped raining, yay!
Pacing's going to be really difficult because you've got a flattish bit and then suddenly there are 3 big pointy hills. There's a bit of technical stuff on the hills, but not too much. But the rain this morning will have made it quite slippy as well. So I'll probably stand at the top of the hill and go, oh, I'm going to die.
Also in this month's Adventure Show, we're off to an event that's already transforming the adventure scene in Scotland. Competitors came from around the world for the inaugural Glencoe Skyline hill race. And what a race it is. Up curved ridge and Buccleuch Moor, then a return on the other side of the glen on the infamous Inaugural Ridge.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Enjoying myself.
We're here not just to watch the 150 runners taking part in this grueling challenge, but to see it through the eyes of psychologist Lucy Rattray. And stay with us because she'll explain that it's not a choice of competing all out or enjoying the event. You can have your cake and eat it. Enjoy it, and you can do even better, is her message.
If you're having moments of doubt or moments where you think, I really need to keep going, I don't know if I can do this, sports performance psychology encourages you to just accept those thoughts and commit to getting through it. We're talking, fun and performance.
But first to the Three Peaks Ultramarathon. It's just after 9 AM and I'm making my way up through the Eildon hills. These 3 peaks make up this ultramarathon, and their steep slopes are a distinctive feature of this landscape. But the competitors not only had to run up and down them, they also need to take on the 15 miles to and from the start.
Most people say when they've done one they wouldn't do one again, but then a couple of weeks later they're going, oh, do you know what, I might. I think they're a little bit addictive.
Happy days, loving it.
In terms of time, what are you hoping for?
8 hours, less than 8 hours.
Right.
I've got dinner booked at 7:30 in Edinburgh, so
You better be back.
I've got to be back for that, yeah.
Now this is the sort of route that I would normally do over a long weekend with perhaps a B&B or 2 thrown in for good measure. But the fastest runners here will do it in around 5 hours. And that, frankly, is just staggering.
I'm downhill to the end now.
Just keep smiling, that's all I do, I just keep smiling.
Yeah, I'd love to do an action shot for you.
We'll speed it up. It all starts here in Jedburgh in the shadow of this magnificent 12th century abbey. First up, the competitors head out cross-country on tracks, paths and lanes until they reach the village of Maxton. From there, they follow the route of the River Tweed through St Boswells. Now 17 miles in, the ascent up the triple peaks of the Eildon starts in earnest. But they will be rewarded with one of the best views in the Scottish borders, if conditions clear up. Then it's down the other side through the village of Bowden before rejoining their original route for the long journey home. Conditions are extremely tough today. It's raining very heavily indeed, and the wind on the tops will be brutal.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So there we have the Three Peaks Ultramarathon 2015. 250 people out running on this event, all looking very chirpy, cheery at this point, but they have 38 miles ahead of them, and 38 tough miles it is too. First 16 or so, fairly flat, just to get the legs nice and warm, and then onto the Eildon Hills. That's the 3 peaks of the name of the event, and that's when it starts to get pretty painful. Back onto reasonably flat terrain after that, and then back towards Jedburgh for the finish, and 2 horrible miles on the road will feel like misery.
The weather's going to be the thing this year. Last year was a beautiful day, hardly a breath of wind, but today, being windy, it's going to be a bit challenging.
I've been eating loads of carrot cake, chocolate, crisps, probably all the stuff that you shouldn't eat. The thing I've been told is just, it's an eating competition with a wee bit of running in it, so that seems like a good day out to me.
Donald and I came down in the summer and we recce'd part of the route. We ran over the Eildons and it was stunning. And I think at this time of year, with the changes in the trees, it'll just be stunning. I'm just a bit worried about the weather because it looks like it's going to be very windy and wet, so a bit challenging.
Just a couple of miles along the course, the field is already opening up, and Ken Souter from the Cheshire Hash House Harriers is one of the front runners. This is the first time Ken's competed here, and psychology is a key part of his preparation for these events.
You might say, well, how do you know what pace to go off at? And that's actually a very difficult question to answer. And I think you engage into your mind that it's roughly that length of time, that distance, and you just kind of go off according to that. And you do it subconsciously, I think. There's a degree of being affected by, what the people around you are doing. But clearly, if someone's going what for you is an unsustainable pace, then you're not going to stick with them.
The Jedburgh Three Peaks is an ultramarathon. It's held the day before the clocks go back, when the autumn colours are at their best. In the 4 years it's been running, it's become a showcase for the borders. Race organisers are Noni Heffron and Angela Barron, and they took on this role almost by accident.
It was a local person who set the route, which is lovely. Some of the organisers got in touch with the Scottish Ultramarathon series and they put a call out on Facebook. Noni and myself both said, we can help, thinking we'd be coming down to Marshall, and actually we ended up becoming race directors, and we've become so fond of it that we've just kept doing it.
It's one of those things, if somebody doesn't do it, then it doesn't get done and the race wouldn't have continued. So yeah, completely by mistake. I'm still amazed anybody put me in charge of anything, to be honest. I wouldn't put me in charge of anything.
For me as well, I didn't have any experience of doing an ultra. I had literally done my first marathon, which was a road marathon in Edinburgh in the May, and had enthusiastically signed up for a marathon in November. But it means that on the recce, that was the first time I went through ultra distance. So I've become quite emotionally attached to it because it's the first place I went ultra as well.
I've got my road shoes on, so I've been a little bit slippy, but pretty good so far. Did it last year. Yep, this is my 11th ultra, I think. So I should manage okay. Keep it slow, steady, nice and even, and see how I get on.
What we've got is, proper narrow trails and tree roots and leaves and rivers to fall in, don't say that. It's a lot less manicured than a lot of other races. This route is not that well used at all.
10 miles underfoot and the competitors get to the village of Maxton and the first of the food stops. A brief moment to reflect on the event so far and this year's conditions.
Wet, a wee bit moist. Apart from that, all good.
What's your tactics for today, guys?
Finish.
Keep running. Keep walking.
It's been fun. We're local. We live in Jedburgh, so we've done a lot of the trails already and been lost and got dirty. We've trained in all the nice summer weather, and then today, we've got this. It's a bit of a nightmare. Well, it's not a nightmare, is it? It's fun.
It was lovely, beautiful. First time down here, can't complain. It's lovely.
This way.
That way, yep.
I just see ultramarathons as running with a picnic, so I like eating my picnics along the way. My plan is just hopefully to finish finish. Hopefully they won't time you out at any of the checkpoints, so just keep going, one foot in front of the other.
7 miles further on, and today all eyes are on Lee Kemp from Surrey. He only took up ultra running 3 years ago and came first in the 2013 British Ultra Trail Championships held on part of the West Highland Way. Not only that, but he set a new course record. Lee took an early lead in this race, but heading through the woods near the River Tweed, he took a wrong turn and has dropped back down the field.
The path sort of went to the left and there was a little bridge to the right and there was no sign, so I sort of went up and ran up to the main road, couldn't see any signage, came back. I thought, well, there's no signs on the bridge, I'll go back, maybe I'll go across the main road. Went back again and then turned back around and there's a wave of us all coming up and we're shouting, no, we're going the wrong way. But yeah, there's 10 or 15 of us there in the end who took a wrong turn, unfortunately.
That mistake means that approaching the first of the Eildon Hills, Ken Suter has taken the lead. But close behind him and challenging hard is Ian Symington from Hebden Bridge in Yorkshire. Ian knows he's up against strong competition, but has a well-rehearsed strategy in place.
I have a look and see who's in it, and then I have a couple of friends who are in this as well, and I know one would be ahead of me and another one might start off more steady, and so just try and not get carried away and don't try and run with the leaders at a pace that I probably isn't sustainable for me. And then as you progress in the race, just try and pick it up and just try and get as much out of yourself as you can.
Out the lead for the women is Lorna McMillan. Lorna grew up near here at Traquair, so is well used to running in this terrain. And she especially likes these longer races.
The good thing about ultras is you get to run a bit slower than in the 10k. A 10k is hard and fast and it's actually pretty horrible. And when I started doing marathons, it just seemed a lot more relaxed, and you know, you could have a bit of a blether with folk round about, and certainly in ultra marathons that's what you do, and especially in sort of like the first half of the race, you know, when people are all running together, you end up kind of in little groups and you chat to folk that you've not spoken to before and you've not met before. I think with an ultra marathon you need to run at a pace that you can talk at. You know, that folk say that if you can't speak, then you're probably running a bit too fast.
Lovely course.
Any hard bits, so?
Yes, all of it.
Is the pub? Is it which way?
Pass round to the left.
No, the pub. Look for the pub.
We look for the pub. You'll get it down in Bowden.
Right now the leaders are just about to start their ascent of the Eildon Hills behind me, and regular viewers of the Adventure Show will know we like to really get a taste, a sample if you will, of all the events we cover. No, I haven't volunteered myself. Deziree Wilson is on the case.
After 17 miles on fairly gentle, straightforward terrain, the runners arrive here at the Reimer's Stone. And this is where the route really changes character as it heads up towards the steep slopes of the Eildon Hills. The Three Peaks Ultramarathon is named after these three hills. The first stands at 404 metres, and I can tell you it's a pretty steep, unremitting climb. From up here you can get a real sense of where we are, with the town of Melrose to the north and the Cheviot Hills out there to the east. Just behind me is the site of an old Roman fort, which was called Tremontium, which, as you might guess, means three hills. And there's more interesting history associated with this first summit, which was the site of an ancient Bronze Age fort around 1000 BC. Apparently over 6,000 people inhabited this fort at one time. They must have been a fit bunch. From here you can see that the hard work isn't over yet. Just ahead of me is the highest of the three Eildon peaks, which stands at 422 metres. Better get on with it then. The course really starts to feel a bit more technical after the first summit, where you really have to think pretty carefully about where you're placing your feet. It'd be really easy with tired legs to misjudge a step and go over your ankle. And this is the top. Not high by Scottish standards, but very definitely the biggest hill around here for miles. Just here is a memorial to Sir Walter Scott, who wrote the ballad of Thomas the Rhymer about these hills, where Thomas meets the Queen of Elfland on the slopes of Eildon and is shown three roads to take. And when he chooses the road to Elfland, he's not seen again for 7 years. Better check the route markers off carefully here then. This really feels like about the most technical part of the course that we've come across yet. We're just kind of moving on broken scree. It's quite difficult to build up any kind of speed without losing your balance and your footing. Imagine running down here full pelt in wet conditions. Would not be easy. The scree on here as well is on a fairly even muddy surface, so it kind of feels like it's designed to be even more slippery than usual. Almost there, but there's a steep little sting in the tail before I reach my third and final summit. The last top! I can't feel too smug because I still need to make it back to where I started from this morning, but at least all the ascent is done now, and it's downhill all the way home.
Thanks Deziree for showing us not just the route, but also why the Borders are such an atmospheric place. Next we're heading north to the high mountains of Glencoe for a new and dramatic addition to the Scottish adventure scene. The Glencoe Skyline is an entirely new event based on the growing sport of skyrunning. But we're here to see this event through the eyes of Lucy Rattray. She's a psychologist who believes that it's not a choice between either enjoying an event or being completely focused on achieving a personal best. She says you can both maximise performance and get more fun at the same time. And Lucy speaks from experience. She's a keen triathlete and endurance enthusiast.
For my job, I'm a chartered psychologist, and I absolutely love doing endurance sports events. Over the years, the most fun part has been all about the challenge and pushing myself. But I've found it's just become too much about the numbers. Getting personal bests, comparing myself to other people, and always trying to go faster. It seems as if the fun's gone out of it. But I want to see if I can use psychology to put the fun back into performance.
Oh, awesome.
Lucy's come to the Glencoe Skyline to put that theory to the test. This is an extreme endurance event with over 4,000 metres of climbing. First it's up Curved Ridge, onto Buccleuch Moor and along the southern skyline. Then there's a descent into the glen before climbing back up and along the Annach Igach Ridge.
The competitors today are going across a range of mountains that most people would walk in probably 2 to 3 days. We're looking at 53 kilometres with almost 4,300 metres of ascent over some grade 3 scrambling, and they will not be roped in. The rocks are a bit wet today, it's a bit slippy, but everybody's psyched up.
Amongst the competitors is experienced fell runner Dave Sykes. He's been competing in events like this for 12 years and has volunteered to see if Lucy's approach will make a difference to his day.
So good morning, Dave, it's race day. How are you feeling?
A little apprehensive up until sort of getting into my rituals. It rained really heavily during the night and it was pretty loud at times in the camper van, but it doesn't look too bad a day, it's not too bad.
What are you looking forward to the most about today?
Just trying to enjoy it, I think, and then finishing in that order probably.
As the competitors wait nervously on the start line, Dave has a new set of techniques to test out. He's going to be trying something called the MAC technique. Anne MacDonald is a sports psychologist who's a firm believer in its benefits.
There's 3 pillar stones. Mindfulness, which is essentially trying to help the athlete be in the present moment and be able to be aware of their thoughts without necessarily trying to change them, but being able to observe them and recognise that they're there. The second part is acceptance. So this is where the athlete then, once they've identified their thoughts, they're okay with them. They don't try and battle them. There's no psychological struggle where they lose energy trying to change whatever they're thinking or feeling. So if they are internally very anxious and perhaps they're getting sweat, it's okay. It's part of the experience that they're living. The third part of the MAC model is commitment. And the really important aspect here is that the athlete considers what their values are. What do they associate with their sport? What are the reasons they're out that day doing their sport? And if they're able to make this association, regardless of what they're experiencing internally and regardless of what they're experiencing externally, they stay focused because they have a deep-rooted sense of why they're there. And that's also very much linked to the enjoyment of the day, which can really help actually an athlete perform to the best of their abilities if they're enjoying the here and the now of their event.
So, how do these work in practice? Yesterday, Dave met Lucy. They produced a profile about him, and now she's devising some key strategies designed to help him. They're based on the MAC approach.
We'll start with the mindfulness aspect. So what we want to do here is to maybe choose, say, one strategy that will help you tomorrow really stay connected to the present moment. And that strategy is called a body scan technique. So you start at the top of your head and focus on relaxing the muscles in your forehead, concentrate on imagining the fibers behind the eyes relaxing, then the jaw, and work down your body, concentrating on each muscle group or ligaments. How do you feel about using that as a strategy?
I think it'd be quite good. We actually asked one of our children to do that because she has difficulty going off to sleep. So we've asked her to do something very similar, so I'd quite enjoy doing that for that reason anyway.
But the next part is really about dealing with your thoughts, because if you're thinking it's going to take 9 or 10 hours, that's a lot of time to be thinking. And if you're having any negative thoughts, that focusing on those can actually be a waste of energy, certainly a waste of mental energy.
Quite often if I lose concentration, start thinking about something else, then say I'm running with somebody, I just find myself drifting back, and then you have to work quite hard to get back.
What I'd like you to try and remember is, if you do start drifting off and having thoughts that aren't great, we want you to just accept those thoughts, and one way to do that is to try and use the word "and." So for example, the heavens have opened, and that's okay. My body is aching, and that's normal. You know, it's reframing it so you've got the "and that's okay," "and that's acceptable," "and that's normal," "and I can work with it," "and that's why I'm here," and this is part of the enjoyment. So give me some examples of thoughts tomorrow that might come into your head that you could use this for.
I would say it's raining, and that's the same for everyone.
Well, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
I'm quite hungry and thirsty, and I have a rucksack full of food, so I can have something to eat.
Close up of fear.
The other things that came up through the profile was the camaraderie of the sport, the social element.
I very much enjoy that aspect of it.
It's brilliant.
At numerous times during the race you are with other people. To some extent you're racing against them, but you're also racing with them. And often it's somebody that you don't know, so there's the novel side of things. If you're going round for 8 or 9 hours with somebody who you don't know, you probably do get to know them by the end of it.
So, taking on board Lucy's advice, Dave, in green and black, has made a good start. We'll be back later in the programme to see how Lucy's strategies are working out in practice. Right now, it's back to the Jedburgh Three Peaks Ultramarathon, where, up on the hills, it's wild and windy.
Welcome back to the Borders, where I've made my way to the summit of the second of the Eildon hills. And it won't be long before the fastest runners arrive here too, which will be a great relief, I'm sure. Not only is this the highest point of the race, it's almost at the halfway point too. And this looks like 219, Ken Shooter. Well done, Ken! How are you doing? Fantastic! You've got a great lead there. Well done.
Ken's an experienced long-distance runner who regularly finishes in the top 10. The big mileage is no barrier to him.
what gets you up to the longer distances is just doing it more. You know, you start to enjoy it to the point that you spend more hours a week doing it. And it's also just discovering where your talents lie. So sometimes it might be just entering something which feels a bit unlikely and just going for it. There's obviously a degree of physiology. There's a degree of, you know, having good health, having the time to put into it. So there's a variety of things that have to come together. It's not just about whether physically you can do it. There's a lot of other stuff that has to come right.
You look like you're really enjoying yourself.
You should always feel incredibly happy because you are privileged. There's no question.
Just a minute later, the next competitor to this high point is Ian Symington.
Well done! Fantastic! Good effort! Great stuff, well done!
He's been called the Ironman of Yorkshire's Calder Valley, and he's after a top place.
I'm a very competitive person. It's just not panicking. You know, you've got a long way to go, and you know, if you're struggling on the hills, just sit in and just, you know, keep focused and just don't stop. Just relentless forward progress. Just keep going, and you know, that's probably the key thing about an ultra is you can have a bad spot where you think this is rubbish, I'm just going slow, and then, you know, 5-10 miles later you've had a bit of food, you've relaxed, you can just pick it right up and you can be fine again. So, you know, if it's a 5-6 mile race, you know, that doesn't really happen, but on an ultra you can come back.
This is a race that attracts competitors from south of the border. People like Lee Kemp, who's next to this summit. He's a member of the British Ultra Trail team and competes internationally.
Well done! Fantastic, great stuff.
His mistake earlier in the course means he's currently in third place, but he's less than 30 seconds behind Ian, so this race is still wide open, and he's now really putting on the pressure.
For me, I find the flatter sections quite tough because you're trying to keep a decent cadence, you're trying to keep a fast pace. So when we got the 3 hills, that sort of broke, you change your stride patterns, so it helped sort of relieve your legs a little bit. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the paths along the river are similar to the ones back at home. So, and with all the leaves and the beautiful colours around, you know, it's just inspiring being out there. So it sort of keeps you going. But yeah, it is tough because it is, you know, it's potentially a very fast race, and like I said, trying to keep that cadence high can be quite difficult.
Whilst the leaders are now over the final summit, the majority of runners are starting up the Eildon Hills. But that doesn't matter. Like many ultramarathons, this event prides itself on its friendliness.
Taxi!
Hardest bit done. Yay! Thank you!
I used to run marathons, started in a few of the ultras, and it's such a friendly atmosphere all the time. It's more like a big long picnic really. You're going along chatting to people and admiring the scenery. It's so much better than running on the roads doing a marathon.
Oh, take one more set, I think you'll die, but you never do.
You can't go any higher.
Great run, that. Top of the world.
I've actually discovered at my grand age that I have got this incredible endurance, and I can go well over 30 miles, which was quite a surprise to me at my age, and I'm absolutely delighted about it. And at the end of it, I feel it's a real achievement. It's much more of an achievement than it is to run a 5k or a 10k and be at the back of the field. To be at the back of the field of an ultra for me is really quite an achievement.
It's the prettiest race in the country. I'm actually the race sweeper, so I run at the back, make sure everybody's safe, bring them back in at the end of the day, in the dark probably, and it's good fun. It's a moderately short distance, it's not too hard, not too far. The countryside's nice, a wee bit of climbing, a wee bit of mud, a wee bit of road, and a wee bit of weather as we see today.
Beautiful, fantastic view, gorgeous.
The route is actually absolutely stunning, and at this time of year with the autumn colours it's beautiful. Coming down to Recce, the route over summer, it's different colours, but it's still, every season it's quite stunning, and with the 3 peaks as well, the views that you get is absolutely gorgeous. And it's become a little bit more competitive at the pointy end as well, because we had a new course record last year from Matt Williamson, so there's people maybe coming to try and beat the course record.
Well done, guys.
I don't know if it's the same everywhere else as it is in Scotland, but the people that turn up and run these races, for the most part, we all know each other. We help out at each other's races, we run each other's races.
Well done!
It's not the race, it's the whole event. It's usually a whole weekend if it's a long enough race.
Well done! Great stuff!
Running, it's almost secondary, really. It's just being part of it.
3, 2, 1, smile. Yay!
Oh, fabulous, yeah.
At this point, the highest part of the race, folks will have run almost a full marathon. So this last steep hill up to the second summit is going to feel pretty brutal.
The borders, I thought. There can't be any hills in the borders, is there?
What's that?
There's no hills in the borders, is there?
Have you been duped? Enjoying the race?
Halfway, I reckon, eh?
Yeah, this is pretty much halfway.
Aye.
How's it going so far?
Good, yeah, just paced it, you know,
Yeah.
so hopefully keep it going from here in, see how it goes. Cheers.
The weather conditions have improved slightly. It's certainly still windy and cold, but it's dried up quite a bit. So, the conditions are reasonably good for running today.
Well, I'm overdressed, eh? Would you say I'm nearly over the hill?
Lorna McMillan is still in the lead for the women. Earlier in 2015, she took third place in the 96-mile West Highland Way race, and she also won bronze in the Scottish Ultra Trail Championships.
When you're running such long distances, to keep it interesting, you quite like a bit of variation, so a bit of up and a bit of down. Sometimes with the ups you get a bit of a walk in, which is quite nice, and obviously the downs you get a bit of a rest.
Oh, great race.
Doing well.
Thank you.
Kind of changed tack today. My boyfriend, who's also running, said that he was going to go out quite hard from the start, and that's not something that I normally do, but we were kind of having a bit of a competition between the two of us today, and I thought, well, you know, I'll just see whether I can go out hard from the start. It is a faster course because it's a bit flatter and it's a bit shorter than I normally do, so I wondered whether it'd be sustainable.
Caroline Mackay is currently in second place for the women. She's only 2 minutes behind Lorna, so is very much in contention. She's got a great race pedigree. Second in the Highland Fling, winner of the Devil of the Highlands, and she's completed the full Ultra Trail Mont Blanc in a very impressive time.
You start out with a different mindset depending on the distance that you're running. A massive part of the attraction is just racing on trails as opposed to roads. I find road racing really monotonous now, and just racing in beautiful parts of the country. And the communities is so special, like the ultra running community, I've made some of my best friends through it, so it's just such a positive thing. And even people that you don't know in a race, you end up just chatting. It's just a lot of fun.
Third to this summit, just a minute behind Caroline, is Elaine Omond from Dundee.
Only one more hill to go!
Her first ultra race was in 2013, where she took the top spot for the women and came in 6th overall. So she's in with a real chance today.
It's definitely a tough mental challenge. I think you just have to remind yourself that you can do it. I tend to think that because there's a checkpoint every 10 miles here, it's a 10-mile run at a time. And you get to a marathon and then it's just an extra 10 miles after a marathon, which is nothing. And you just have to keep telling yourself, you know you can do it, it'll be fine. Make the most of the scenery as well, try and look around. It's beautiful out there, so going up the hill, you have to slow down and walk on the hill anyway, so I was looking around, making the most of it.
That's a view shared by everyone here today.
The view is absolutely fantastic, and even getting here, the trails along the Tweed, absolutely brilliant.
I actually come from Glasgow originally, and then moving down here, on your doorstep, you walk out and you can just start running. It's just so different, it's beautiful, it really is. It's a sense of euphoria, and then you look around and you just see, if it's got a good day and you see all the scenery around about and you see Pinal Heugh over in the distance, it's a great feeling, it really is.
I constantly think about form, how I'm running, because when the body starts to get tired you can get kind of sloppy, so the hips will drop and things like that. So I'm constantly thinking about form, I'm constantly thinking about time as well. You know, if there's someone in front of me I want to catch. I mean, today I had the First Lady just in front of me, and my usual thing in races I end up coming in just behind the First Lady, so for once I want to come in front of the First Lady. Feeling good. Competition's always with yourself.
He lies.
But of course you get to know people who do these things. It's the same people that tend to turn up at all the Scottish Ultras.
Awesome.
So it's not really competition, but it's just quite nice if you came in behind them in one race and you're a little bit ahead in another race that you maybe improved. So yeah, it's just kind of good fun.
So that's the top men and women through this high point on the Eildons. As you can see, there's still plenty more people making their way up and over these summits. We'll be back to see how they get on shortly.
Now it's back to the Glencoe Skyline, where psychologist Lucy Rattray is anxiously waiting to see if the techniques she's been working on with Dave Sykes are helping him.
So we're over 5 hours into the race. No sign of Dave yet, but I'm sure he'll be along any minute, and hopefully those strategies have really worked.
Dave's trying out 3 key techniques that should increase both his performance and enjoyment of this demanding race. The first requires mindfulness, in this case achieved by mentally scanning your whole body. Secondly, there's ensuring a positive outlook, using the "and" word to help accept negative thoughts. Finally, there's commitment. In Dave's case, this means concentrating on the sense of companionship that's one of the reasons he takes part in these events. Lucy meets up with Dave at the halfway point.
So how are you feeling?
Pretty good considering. I have had some adversity and I have tried to use what you've told me and it's working thus far. And yeah, we've done the worst of it, I think. There's a big climb to come.
So what strategies are you going to use going forwards?
I'm using "and" quite a lot, which is working. And I have used my mindfulness on occasion, just to take my mind away from where I am. And those are the 2 I've really had to use. Obviously the companionship, I've used that to great effect from going over Vipond. I've stuck together with a lad that I don't know, but we're having a nice time, so I'm going to continue. Right, thank you for your support.
Well, I'm not sure I'd be quite so enthusiastic with the Anahiga looming ahead of me, but Dave's been embracing these new techniques and is having a fantastic race. The MAC approach offers a different way of thinking about sports performance.
Traditionally, sports psychologists tend to use a cognitive behavioural approach. And what I mean by that is they look at the thoughts and the emotions that the athlete is experiencing and to try and identify if there's some unhelpful thoughts in there. And then they try and change those. So for example, turning negative self-talk into positive self-talk so that it has a positive impact on the behaviour of the athlete. And this has been used for many, many years. The MAC approach is very different because it's an acceptance-based approach. What they want is to be in the zone, what we call in a state of flow. And if they're able to accept all the thoughts and the emotions and the physical sensations that are happening and not be distracted by them, then they can remain in that state of flow.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, just told Ian that it's, wow, such a cool race.
Brilliant.
You don't feel like you're tired because it's so nice.
How do you think using the MAC approach affects an athlete's enjoyment?
We train them to be in the moment. We train them to appreciate everything through all the senses, what they're doing. And therefore they're remembering the reason for being there that day. They're remembering why they're doing what they're doing. This is far more effective than other approaches which try and enhance a certain psychological skill.
Starting to hurt yet?
Yeah, some time ago. Oh man, it's been some race.
Today, Dave's put the MAC approach to the ultimate test because in the first part of the race, he took a nasty tumble.
I had a fall quite early on. I hurt my hands, both hands. I hurt my thigh. I hurt both knees. It really took the wind out of my sails, and I got up and I started running again. And I thought, I've had a fall, and I'm still enjoying this. I've had a fall, and I can keep going. I've had a fall, and the pain's gone already.
Now it's nearly all over. Dave had an ambition to complete this race in under 10 hours. As he approaches the finish line, he's achieved that with a time of 9 hours, 57 minutes. It's a great performance.
So Dave, you're at the finish line. Well done.
Thank
How
you.
was it?
Pretty hard work. I have done quite a few hard things, and that's up there. I can't explain how hard it is just coming up the final bit from those trees that you can see down there just to here. That's the smallest hill that we've been up, yet it was the hardest because you had to keep running. People were coming up trying to overtake you, and you just had to keep going. And my legs were just really starting to hurt a little just because I was desperate to get under 10 hours, which doesn't mean anything really, but it just looks quite nice if it's in single digits.
Tell us, how did you use the strategies?
When it was getting hard, I used my body scanner quite a lot, take my mind off how much it was beginning to hurt. And also, I don't know whether you noticed, but I finished with a lad, and we've run together quite a lot on the way round, and it's been really useful. We've helped one another. He came past me actually on the flatter bit, and then we worked together on this final little hill, and that was the camaraderie and companionship.
Thanks, mate.
No, I found it useful. I will use it again. Beats singing my usual repertoire of James Bond songs or Beatles songs. And I'm going to go and have a milkshake, and then I'm going to go and have a pint.
Isn't it incredible? Such an epic extreme event obviously takes a huge amount of training and dedication. But what we've found today is that using some psychological techniques can really, really help you enjoy the day.
And just for the record, the Glencoe Skyline was won by one of Scotland's great athletes, Joe Simmons, in a time of 7 hours, 36 minutes and 21 seconds. To be honest though, I'm not sure anything would make a route like that fun for me. And I've got a confession as well. Later this year, I'll be competing in an off-road triathlon that includes running up and down Ben Nevis. I'd better start some positive thinking right now. Welcome back to the Jedburgh Three Peaks Ultramarathon. Now the lead racers are well and truly over the top of the Eildon, as you can see behind me, and they're on the home leg. But there are still plenty of racers out there on the hills.
It's the best bit, honestly. Hills.
It's great all the way from Austria. I'm from Austria.
That was amazing. It was gorgeous.
Breeze up here, eh? It's really interesting to know just how little some of these runners are wearing. Bare legs, bare arms, and if you look at what I'm wearing today, I'm totally togged up. I've got 2 duvet jackets on, thick gloves, hat, hood up, and I'm still freezing. You really need to know that you can carry enough kit to stay warm enough if something goes wrong, but that isn't going to slow you down over this kind of distance. Well done!
No bad. Last hill, and the weather's not as bad as we expected, so...
They said this would be fun. Is it? No, not quite.
Down from the hills and heading back through Maxton, Lee Kemp is showing why he's the race favourite. He's not only overtaken both Ken Suter and Ian Symington, but he's also built up a lead of over a minute and a half.
With all races, I've done some longer ones as well. I break them down into the checkpoints.
114!
Most of the time they're sort of 6 miles, 7 miles. It's like doing a smaller race then, and once you get to those checkpoints, grab some more drinks, food, say hi to all the great volunteers and marshals who cheer you on, and then back on. Okay, another 10k to the next one.
You got Miss Bells up now?
No, that's good. I'm all good to go. Cheers, thank you. I think it's not getting daunted by the distance. If you think of each checkpoint as a 10k event, you know you can do 10k, and it's just keep going. You know, stay positive. And I think a big thing for me is I know at some point during an event I am going to feel awful, I'm going to feel rubbish, but it's not going to last forever.
So that's Lee's secret for success. Next to this checkpoint is Ken Suter. He's dropped down to 2nd place and has been chased hard by Ian Symington.
Cheers. Well done. See ya.
But Ian thinks races like this are about far more than just who comes first.
If you're just starting, you're not going to be able to run it at the pace that Lee's running the race at, but a huge percentage of the population could walk the course today, and it'd be tough and it'd be a massive achievement, but they could do that. So if you if you realise that you can get round it, it's just how quickly you get round the course, and you focus on that, and then you train and you just start running the easy sections, and you just build it up and build it up and build it up. And if you look at the people today, they're not all looking like fine, trim, elite sportsmen, and that's what's quite nice about this, is that you can have a whole range of abilities, and they've all done something really, really worthwhile, and it's a really good achievement.
This is our first, and our last. No, it's not our last. This will be an annual thing for us now, I think. We do plenty of road running, marathons and everything else, but ultra's is a bit different. You get to chat to people from far and wide. We can't believe how far some people have come to run this thing today.
From Malaysia, from a hot country.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is my second time here.
And what draws you to this particular race?
My friends, my warm Scottish friends.
Getting there, right? We're lucky that the weather's cleared. The view is absolutely fantastic, and even getting here, the trails along the Tweed, absolutely brilliant. Really enjoying it so far. Looking forward to a good beer at the end of it, you know.
The winds are blowing us up here, which is good. It's all downhill from here, is that what they say?
Now on the home straight, Lauren McMillan is still in the lead for the women. She's a comparative newcomer to ultramarathons and is having a fantastic day.
I ran my first one in 2012. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think for me, I was born and brought up in a farm in the Borders actually, but it's a way to be outside, which is something that I've always loved, being surrounded by nature. And a day like today, you know, why would you want to be indoors when you can be outdoors all day long?
Oh, almost there.
Caroline Mackay is 5 minutes behind Lorna and currently in second place. She took up running fairly recently and it's literally changed her life.
If I look back 5 years, I've got a completely different lifestyle from what I had back then, but when it's something you really love, you don't see it as a chore. I mean, obviously not every run you love, but it's sometimes hard to get up at whatever 6 a.m. and go to the gym and do hill reps. This year I've done quite a lot of racing, so this is my final, and actually can't wait to not have any more races for the next couple of months.
We jog home now.
Today, many of the competitors are still making their way over the Eildons and are looking forward to life after the race.
Oh, sorry! Got to keep it going. We need a bit of a push. Downhill and home for burgers and chips.
Forgetting the beer.
Yeah, oh yeah, lots of beer.
I used to do a lot of orienteering and my eyesight started to go. So I started doing ultras. I expect when my knees go, I'll have to go to cycling. No, it's something you can switch off. You know, you just run and it's great being out in places like this. You go slow enough like I do, you can see all the views as well, it's brilliant. Yeah, that's it now. All downhill.
Best bit. I'm downhill today now.
Love running because it's my version of the midlife crisis. Because it's cheaper than having the fares. It's better than buying a sports car. It's safer than a motorbike.
I just started this year.
What?
Why? Adventure show. The Glencoe Marathon adventure show. And so Dougie Vipond.
Oh dear, what have I started? Back here in Jedburgh, it's nearly 5 hours after setting off this morning. The end is in sight for the leaders. So here he comes, number 114, Lee Kemp, member of the GB Ultra Trail team. The record on this course was 5 hours and 2 minutes, and it looks to me like he's inside it. Absolutely, just gently jogging over the line, doesn't even bother breaking the tape. Look at that, gold medal round the neck and a new record. And that is a fantastic performance. Looks like he's just been out for a stroll in the park of an afternoon, but he's done 38 miles and he's done them very quickly indeed. What a great run for Lee Kemp. A time of 4 hours, 56 minutes and 36 seconds. He's smashed the course record by over 5 minutes.
Really pleased with that. I didn't think I'd get it, you know, after going wrong. Matt Williams is a friend of mine who had the previous course record, so I was hoping I could sort of get close to it and then a bit of banter afterwards maybe when I speak to him. But yeah, really pleased with it. It was tough. Last few miles, really felt it.
So this is Ian Simonton, a fantastic run for him, battling with Ken Suter for second and third place. But Ian has really put in the miles towards the end, really dug in deep. And he has broken last year's record as well. Disappointment for him though that Lee Kemp is quite a few minutes ahead, but a very fine run indeed. Second place today, you must be pretty pleased with that.
Really pleased. I know Lee, I recognise Lee Kemp's name, and I think he's probably a much better runner than I am, so very pleased to come second, and I think I got about the best out of myself, so very pleased with that.
The amazing thing as well, you broke the course record from last year just inside, but Lee was just that wee bit faster.
Yeah, it doesn't count then. It's, yep.
I mean, Lee's obviously ahead of you, but not that far ahead of you in a race of this size.
No, he came past me just on the peaks, and he was going at some rate. I sort of stuck with him for maybe half a mile and thought, oh, it's a bit fast for me, and sort of dropped off and just hoped that he'd break a little bit later, but he didn't. No. He was really strong.
And this is our third place. This is Ken Suter, English runner. He was leader of the Lakeland 100 for 70 miles last year before having to drop out through injury. Crosses the line, smile, hands in the air. Good run. What a battle he had with Ian Symington as well. But that's a great run from this fella. He's a real top drawer athlete and a good finish. So Ken, third place finish today, and a great finish, yeah? Are you happy with that?
I am actually, yes, yeah. I was up against quite a strong field, I think. You know, I've had a couple of race wins this season, so one might say, well, I could have expected or hoped for more, but when you feel you've had a reasonably strong run anyway, if you're beaten by two people who are better on the day, you know, at the end of it, it's just a hobby, so yeah, you can't really complain.
So, confirmation of those winning results for the men. In third place, Ken Suter completed the course in a time of 5 hours, 6 minutes and 53 seconds. Ian Symington came in second in 5 hours and 1 second. But out in the lead with a new course record was Lee Kemp, who finished with a tremendous 4 hours, 56.36. And here comes the first woman over the line, Lorna McMillan from Glasgow, originally from Traquair. Came second in the West Highland Way race in 2013, placed third at this year's West Highland Way race, and came fifth at the Highland Fling. But this year, she's the winner of the Jedburgh Three Peaks Ultramarathon, and a great performance from Lorna McMillan, the winner, 2015. Lorna, congratulations, a fantastic performance.
Thank you very much. It's a lot tougher than I expected it to be. I was given the impression that it was going to be flat, but it's actually quite an undulating course. I quite like a hilly race, so I found it a lot tougher than I expected. Some of the long straights are quite kind of, you've got to just keep going and dig deep, where when it's an uphill or a downhill you get a wee break now and again, but yeah. So.
Well listen, well done, superb. And here's the second woman, Caroline Mackay from Edinburgh, pounding up to the line. Like Lee Kemp, she took a wrong turn earlier in the race, so she finishes 12.5 minutes behind Lorna. Well, Caroline, congratulations, a second place finish behind Lorna, but you had a tough one today.
I had a really tough race actually. It started out really strong, felt really good. It's such a beautiful trail, and I ran this race 3 years ago, so it was a really tough race 3 years ago because it was really muddy, so today was not as muddy and I was feeling positive, feeling good. But then I'm not actually sure, it was probably 13 or 14 miles we took a wrong turn because some signage had been taken down. When we realised, we came back, and then I realised I'd been passed by about 3 ladies. Right. So it's really hard because then you get into a really negative mindset, and it's hard to dig yourself out of that in a race because it's so much about your mental strength, I think, and yeah. I was just struggling mentally after that, and I could see Lorna bobbing ahead for a while, and I thought, I'm not going to catch her, she's running really strong today.
Taking the final steps to the finish line, Elaine Almond came in second last year. This time, she's in third place, 11 minutes behind Caroline, but still a tremendous race for her.
I'm so happy. I'd sort of been injured for most of the year, so I came into this thinking if I can get round and finish it and try and enjoy it, then I'll be happy. Hadn't really expected a place at all, so I'm so glad with that time, that position. And
a very impressive time as well.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think I actually beat last year's time, even though I felt pretty rubbish at the start of this morning. So yeah, really happy.
So, confirmation of the women's results. Taking a well-deserved third place, Elaine Almond completed the course in 6 hours, 22 minutes and 2 seconds. Caroline Mackay was second with a time of 6 hours, 11 minutes, and the top spot for the 2015 Jedburgh Three Peaks Ultramarathon went to Lorna McMillan with her time of 5 hours, 58 minutes and 33 seconds. Many congratulations to them, and indeed to everyone who competed. Finishing a course like this makes everybody a winner.
I don't think I'm at the back, but not far off it.
Yeah, so what? Get round.
Exactly. Who cares? I don't care.
I'm not very quick, so the further I go, the less it stands out. Because everyone else starts going slowly as well.
just running just for the camera.
Well, that's almost it for this month's adventure show. Next time around, we're joining Michael Stewart as he takes on a kayak journey that was first done way back in the 1930s.
This trip's going to be a great physical exertion, great physical challenge, but it's an adventure that is going to be fantastic.
Michael will be recreating a pioneering trip first undertaken over 80 years ago by two young men from Edinburgh, Alistair Dunnett and Seamus Adam. They became known as the Canoe Boys, and this epic journey from Glasgow to the Isle of Skye captured the imagination of the whole nation. Michael will be reliving their experience.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm saying that now. You know, once you get me at the other end, hopefully get me at the other end, then I might change my tune.
Michael is undertaking that journey in a replica canoe from that bygone age. But there's one problem. Last time Michael was in a kayak, he was just a wee lad. So joining him is one of our most experienced sea paddlers, Brian Wilson.
Right, if you keep your weight right in the centre, you'll be absolutely fine.
First off, a quick crash course.
There we go. You have a bit of fun with turning it if you just head towards something.
Oh, I'm going to hit this boat. Almost hit that one. Almost hit this one.
Yet. I'm trying to get out of your way. Michael has had only a short time in the boat, and these boats are slightly unusual. You know, they're very open and very short, but he's handling them well so far. It's just we've only been in flat water.
The original Canoe Boys paddled these waters to discover more about their Highland heritage. In doing so, they had a great adventure. And there's no doubt this will be an adventure for Michael. After just a few hours on the water, he faces the dangerous whirlpools of the Doris Moor.
It looks nice and calm and placid, but I'm pretty sure as soon as we get out past the headland, it will be a different ball game completely.
Fine, it's picking up now. You can see it over there. Just in front of us is the main stream running west. Feel it starting to push you around a wee bit. Turn it right round, then go in point first if you can. Nice and slow.
That was good.
Punch into it, Michael. Lean forward. Give it a bit of welly. Keep heading out to sea. This way. Yoo-hoo! Well done.
As the pair head north, there are good times.
We're going to have some oatmeal bros.
And bad. The crossing to Egg is Michael's lowest point.
I've had enough. Temper taking a big swipe into the water. The blade didn't catch it. It was bounced up, snapped and smacked my chin. Not exactly an enjoyable crossing.
For once, the phrase up the creek without a paddle seems absolutely right. Hopefully you can join us for that to see if Michael really enjoys that Canoe Boys journey. In the meantime, from all of us here, thanks so much for your company. Bye for now.